Whether you're a seasoned vet of the payments industry or a brand new rookie who just heard the term dual pricing for the first time, you're in the right place. This is the only podcast that shares the strategies and stories behind selling merchant services, all from the perspective of those on the front lines. Welcome to AgentFirst. Hey, in just a minute, we'll get to part 2 of our conversation with Ira Cornelius, the founder of Membership Merchant. But I want to make sure that you know that this is part 2. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to part 1 yet, you're missing out. You'll hear all about slanging shoes and broken femurs and conversation with father-in-law and all the things that really got Ira started in this industry. And I want to make sure that you have a chance to listen to that. So if you haven't listened to part 1, we'll be here when you get back. Now it's time for part 2.
So obviously, now you run your own business. You're your own independent contractor. But for the first 3/4 of your career, you were a W-2 employee, Heartland and beyond both. So you've experienced both sides of it. And there's people out there that are struggling with it or maybe think one is better than the other. I'd just love to hear your thoughts on goods, bads, indifference. What do you think? What's your advice to people? Just kind of your thoughts on that.
94 comp plan is the best comp plan out there. Just kidding. No, I there's definitely a major difference from going from the W-2 side to like a 1099 contractor side, because you go from like kind of running your own business as a W-2, but you're still employed. Like you still have sales quotas that you have to hit. You have to, if you don't hit them, then you're hearing from your managers and all that stuff, where there's a lot of high pressure sales there. And that's, I think, good to learn. I think that's kind of like the rookie league, to be honest with you.
Right.
To like prepare yourself to go into something like this, right? And there's in the beginning when I started, I was telling him before we started shooting this, like Heartland was fantastic.
Right.
When I worked there, it was a
Absolutely.
great stepping stone. It taught me how to be transparent and honest in this industry and kind of how to approach everything. And but it quickly just, I realized even moving to beyond too, like that process was not scalable, because as an individual agent, if you do this the right way, you can really scale this into a sizable business without having to have any employees, with the support of Pay Compass and the people that work there, right?
Right.
And that was the major difference, right? Is like you don't have high pressure sales. You don't have sales quotas that you have to meet. And like that, running the business inside of that is really just you trying to figure out the structure of how you're going to get clients and then manage them the right way. But if you take that and then you go out and you do that on your own in a 1099 agent environment where Pay Compass is going to be there supporting you and doing everything you need to do to like run your actual business, it becomes a scalable actual like business that you're operating. And it's not so much just like hitting sales quotas and, making sure you're getting your minimums and all that stuff anymore. Right. It's like, no, now you can see like the actual growth. You can track your KPIs and like you got to worry about taxes and stuff. Like, there's like a bunch of different things you got to do. So you're running an actual like company now. And I think that's the biggest thing is that I always wanted in this industry was like to be able to run my own thing, be with my family, because I got 2 young kids right now, and not have to like hire employees per se, but like grow something that's scalable that you can make a ton of money in, but like buy all your time back with all the residual income,
Right.
And that was the biggest difference. W-2, the residuals that you're going to build there are not going to be that big, just straight up. They're not. Like Some people think theirs are that large there, but like if you take that and you do it outside of there, like a lot more. So, and that's just the facts. Yeah.
For sure. So I've obviously been in the front row of watching you grow, and I've watched you start from a guy with no experience in this industry, very low experience in sales at all.
Yeah.
With a young guy with a young wife, freshly married, to now a guy that I've watched grow tremendously. Over the last, 9, 10 years, I don't know what it's been.
It's almost been a decade.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that crazy? That's crazy. And now 2 kids and an amazing lifestyle and a great business. But in that growth, your business has grown a lot as well. I mean, you've obviously sold hundreds and hundreds of deals over the time. You talked earlier about like going out cold calling and knocking on doors. You don't do that anymore. You know, you're doing your. How do you get your business now, or what does your business change to where is it still the same, you know, liquor store on the corner and smoke shop, or what type of stuff is it now that you're working on?
Yeah. Lots of different businesses. So I think once you build out, you know, a network in your community, you have to really dig in to that in the beginning and, like, once again, nurture those relationships so they last a long time and those relationships become friendships. And, you know, that's kind of what set me up, is having that base so that I don't have to go out and cold call anymore. So it's staying in contact with your customers, getting referrals with them. But then I think the biggest play for me that I think a lot of people are still underutilizing is social media. With Facebook and Instagram specifically, I always add every single one of my clients as a friend immediately, right off the bat. So as soon as we start doing business together, I find them on Facebook, I add them as a friend. Same thing if they got an Instagram, I'll go in and follow them, they'll follow me back so that they can start having like a real look into my life. So I intentionally am sharing stuff every single day, whether it's like reels on Facebook and Instagram, or if it's just a post, or if it is, you know, something on my stories. I'm just sharing my life, like my day-to-day in business, you know, what I'm doing with my family, on my vacations, everything. And people are drawn to that, right? Like people get drawn to that.
Because you're real. It's real.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
And because people get drawn to that, I think that you know, that is what's really helped me scale this now to where, you know, I don't have to go out as much per se and like try to go like walk into a business that I'm doing business with already and then like ask them for referrals. Like that old standard process is not how I'm doing it anymore. That process has been replaced with social media and the way that you kind of social sell essentially, which is just having a normal relationship online with them, right? And, you know, that's really helped me scale because now I'm getting a lot of referrals. So like instead of me going outbound so much, it's more inbound coming in from social media. But I've also, on top of the day-to-day stuff like that, I've pushed over to ISV partnerships, which is really, you know, the future of payments, honestly.
Amen.
Like 1,000%, that's where it's going. So I've been focusing probably the past 3 years on like inking solid business like relationships with these guys that own these softwares, and it's not easy. Like it's like probably way harder than anything else I've ever done, which is why I have only 2 of them going on right now, and it's been over a 1.5-year project to get them integrated and like tested and actually launched, and we still don't have very many clients of it yet, but it's just now starting to roll out. So I know that a year from now, 2 years from now, you know, as this process gets, you know, completely ironed out, that, you know, when somebody signs up for that business software, they're also signing up for a merchant account, and I don't even know who that person is, right? So it's a fully automated process. You don't have to go outbound. You don't have to do really any work for it per se, because it's fully automated, right? And, you know, it's better off for both parties. It's better off for the software vendor. They're getting a way better split. They get ownership of the merchant accounts. And then, you know, on our side, we're getting our profit as well. So it really wins all around. And typically we can provide a better product for their customer too. But that's what I've been focusing on lately in year 3 of business and going into year 4. But yeah, I mean, it's really just a matter of all of it. It's just showing your life to your clients, being a real person, and, you know, having people just send you referrals. That's how I got some of my largest clients today, is just 1, by answering the phone when people have problems. 2, them seeing my life, you know, on social media. 3, me popping in every once in a while to say hi. Me not being a douchebag and just being normal with my clients, you know, just being real. And then also focusing on things that are going to start really scaling this thing long term, like ISV partnerships, so that I can spend less time on the output and just get more stuff coming in without me actually having to do anything.
Right. I talked to one of the previous episodes about like how many, you know, the ISV world, how many frogs you have to kiss for you you find that prince. And we won't dive deep into the story, but I watched Ira, you know, fondling and kissing a lot of frogs, and personally went with him to Florida. We had a great time. But,
I fondled a gator for that one.
There's a long story there over a beer sometime that we can tell on that one for sure. We had a fun time. We had a great time.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
So one of the things, obviously, we're all competitive guys, right?
Yeah.
And so winning kind of at sales and generally in business is part of the goal. But I think we all are pretty honest about that's a means to kind of what we want our life to look like, right? So talk to me a little bit about, and Justin's alluded to that some, you know, just as as your family has grown and your business has grown, kind of where has this path taken you now, and where are you hoping that it takes you in the future?
Yeah, I think backing up a little bit, the whole reason why I got into the industry, one is because I was sick of where I was at, and two, I saw the opportunity with the financial vehicle of merchant services. Because I always, wanted my wife to stay at home when we decided to have kids. I wanted to get her out of the corporate rat race and like be able to raise her kids and really focus on that time with them. But I also didn't want to be the guy that was just out hustling still, and I was gone, and I was just out making the money and like providing for the family, but I didn't get to spend time with the family. Sure. And that's just been like the core of everything that I've been doing since day one with this, is building it to a point on this timeline to where it's like, all right, we got married at 22. I don't know, something like that. 22,
we better edit that one so Kenzie's not mad.
Yeah. No, don't edit.
Put the right number in.
Yeah. But no, yes, we got married in our early 20s, and then we, and then I was like, hey, let's party, let's travel, let's have a good time, which, at the time, Heartland Beyond, stuff like that allowed us to do that. Then we had our first kid, Bodie, and then, a couple years later, 3 years later, we had Gentry, my daughter, and in that process, I was able to, we were able to get her, started making enough money residually to get Kenzie out of corporate America and stay home with the kids. And then I was able to kind of take this and scale it. And that was at Beyond. But then I came over here and started this company in February of 2020. And then COVID hit, and I had to go figure out how to get clients really quickly, which was pretty gnarly. But that was a gnarly year. Yeah, that was crazy. 2020 was. Yeah. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, you fast forward to today, I could not, and this is not like BS in front of the camera, I could not be happier with everything that we've gone through, all the adversity to get to this point, which it's still so early in the game.
Right,
I'm 32 years old, I have so much more ahead of me. But being here right now, it's I do take a step back a lot of days throughout the week, and I just realize what this has been able to provide for my family. I have not missed a day spending time with my kids. And spending time with my kids since they were born.
That's awesome.
I've been around them every single day. I've been able to go and ride dirt bikes with Bodie, and go ride bikes and travel. We've been to the beach a million times. I didn't even go to the beach until I was 19 or 20 for the first time.
Right.
Bodie's been to the beach, multiple beaches, 15 times, and he's 4.5.
Yeah.
And we've been able to, we went to Maui, and stuff like that as a family. We just created a lot of good core memories, at this stage of my life. So it's provided everything that's important.
If you want to see some of the cutest things you've ever seen in your life, find Ira on social media and watch Bodie doing his tricks on his little bike.
Yeah, his dirt bike.
It's the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life.
He's pretty cute.
So I'm going to get a little deeper and a little personal here with you. All right. So
I like it.
So for me personally, Ira over the last 10 years has made me a better leader and a better person. And one of the things that I've watched him do is do the same thing. You've had to overcome a lot of struggles with anxiety and ADD. And I know that we got a lot of people out there, because just this world we're in, that have the same thing.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that? How do you work through that? Because you're not a dude that's hey, let me just medicate and go over that. You're a guy that's let me use these tools to my advantage, but understand what they mean also. And so that's a deep thing, but I think it's something that's important for you.
I like to talk about that. It's a pretty hot topic all the time,
Right,
but
right.
I think that because I listened to about a podcast today just with different entrepreneurs, all different types of topics, but mainly business podcasts. And I've realized that most successful, material successful people that do well in business all have some form of ADHD that you want to call it, right? They didn't do well in school because they had no interest in it, and that's exactly who I was. I was the guy that was trying to get out of school as much as possible. I had zero interest in it. Kenzie's the absolute opposite. Obviously, she was an academic, she did all this stuff. She was like the girl on the TV screen doing the morning announcements. And but I didn't have any interest in it. And I think the world puts that like a label on you of a guy that has ADD or ADHD, but I think it's just you're somebody that has you either have an interest in something or you don't. There's no in between. There's no BSing around it. And for me, it was always, I got to go fast. I want to have fun. I need the adrenaline. And, sales has really like given me that same kind of feeling of like adrenaline. I can go fast. I can do this at my pace. Like I can get a great result from it. It gives me a high. Like, I've called you multiple times after a deal and I'm just like screaming at the top of my lungs in the car and you're laughing and I'm like about to pop an artery, like it's just like nothing gives you that feeling of like closing a deal, and I still get that now, when I do stuff, it's a little different, but, the anxiety stuff, yes. I mean, it was, walking into a business with somebody that you don't know and like trying to figure out what you're going to say to somebody. Like I had my good days and I had my bad days, but every day you still got to go out and do it, The anxiety was through the roof. And I'm sure some people probably won't talk about this because they don't want to, but everybody probably has it walking in. So you get a little nervous, just like I did in the beginning of this podcast, like your heart starts fluttering a little bit. You start rambling on your words and all that. But the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, the more it's going to become routine. And I still deal with it today, like I'll go into a situation that I'm unfamiliar with, which I've gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable and I've figured out how to navigate that. But the ADD part of me and the anxiety part of me, I still struggle with it today. I'll struggle with it for the rest of my life. Medication does nothing for me, so I didn't want to be the pop a pill guy, Adderall and Xanax, not good for you. To each their own. But yeah, I mean, it's been. I think the ADD part has been a blessing to me as far as like I'm very hyper focused on something that I like to do, and this has been something that I like to do, just like the mountain biking, the wakeboarding, the snowboarding, and all the other things that I like to do. And it's been really helpful to help me scale this thing quickly because when I'm hyper focused on it, I'm really into it and I'm just zoned in, and that's been really good for me. So if you think that it's not good for you, like having ADD or ADHD, you got to figure out how to channel that focus into something that you like. And if you like it and you enjoy it, it's a blessing. And that's what a lot of other successful people have is that hyper focus on something they like to do and they get material or financial success from that because they're so into it. But, if you put somebody like me in front of something I'm not interested in, I'm going to look like a dick because I'm just not interested in it.
It's part of the real. It's part of that authenticity, right?
Yeah,
it really is. And that's the part I was alluding to that's made me, I've had to become a stronger leader and manager when I was Ira's, manager is understanding how to relate to that. Cause before I was just like, just figure it out, dude, stop being that way. And I realized like, no, there's actually a huge strength in this that like, realize how to channel it, how to use it, and you were the first guy that I've ever been around that understood, hey, I've got this, and I'm not trying to hide it. I'm trying to use it to my advantage. And there's good days and bad days. I mean, we've had lots of conversations where it's like, I'm quitting, I'm done, this is over, and the next day it's like, yeah, it's the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. It's just that's part of it, though, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that extroverted people don't deal with that stuff, but like extroverted people do. Like I'm a very extroverted person. I like my me time, but at the same time, like I like to go out, I like to socialize and party and stuff, but there's these triggers, right? And it's like specific things like this business, business can really bring that stuff out in you, and you have to figure out how to navigate it. I mean, number one, it's just, you just have to get be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Right. That's like the number one thing. And anxiety and all that stuff and not knowing shit, when you walk into a place and you're fumbling on your words and you walk out and you're like, wow, who was that person in there? Like you do that enough times, you're going to realize like, don't do that again, Don't do that. Do something else. Oh, that works? Okay, keep going down that path, and then you don't have it anymore.
Right,
the anxiety goes away, the ADD, the fumbling of the words, it all goes away. But yeah, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse for sure.
Right. One last question from me, anyways, is there's somebody out there listening to this podcast right now who just started in this industry, 2 months ago. Maybe they're with a company that's not giving a lot of guidance. They're not really sure where to go. They're like, man, this guy sounds, like he went down the same path. What's your advice to that person? Relatively new in the industry. a tangible thing, like what should I do? What should I focus on? And I know there's a lot of variables there, but that one thing you could say, try this, do this.
Go sell insurance.
Yeah, we'll cut that one.
We don't need any more competitors.
I would say that if you're going to get into this industry, you have to really understand like why you want to get into it. Like for me, it was I saw the opportunity to be able to be around my kids and my family while they're at a young age, and be able to build residual income to buy my time back, because my time is the most important thing, that we have, right? So if you like have that thought process of why you want to get into this industry besides just making money and selling merchant services, then you can really channel that and you can create essentially whatever life you want in this industry. But it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard. I would 100% lean on people either like myself or many other people that are super successful in this industry that all have different ways of building their business, and reach out to them and talk to them and be a sponge and be open-minded and try to, understand that like it's going to be hard, the first few months, right? It's going to be hard the first 6 months, but you also need to go, and this is not me selling Pay Compass, but this is like you would need to be with a good company. Like there are a lot of companies out there that are good, but there's a lot of companies out there that are not. There's devils in the details. When you're signing agent contracts, there are times where people's residuals get cut off after you've built a bunch of stuff and you don't own them. You may have some guy that's got a pretty face and he's got a nice smile and he talks well and he sold you on coming to that company. That's not Justin.
Not me.
Justin that's 0 for 3. 0 for 3, Justin.
You want somebody that's honest, you got to work with honest people, and there's a lot of scumbags in this industry. There's a lot of scumbags in other industries, and this place does not have that.
Right.
It's got the AgentFirst thing is real. You can ask Beth, who hated work with me in the beginning, but now we understand each other. Like she has worked through her anxieties that I have given her, to understand how I operate. But she did that because she knows that like I have to go out there and this is the way that Ira does stuff and this is how I'm going to conform to what he needs, Like that's like the mindset behind this company. And I think we've all been through quite a bit of other ones, where we've realized what's good, what's bad, what works, what doesn't work. And this is kind of the fine-tuned version of that as we grow it out. But yeah, I mean, if you're getting started in the industry, don't sell insurance. That's not good. Don't do that. Just talk to the right people, right? Like talk to a few different people in the industry. Don't just talk to Pay Compass. Talk to some other ones. Get some opinions for yourself. And then when you come back here, realize that this is the best.
There's the commercial right there.
Yes. Well, Ira, I appreciate you taking the time today and
appreciate you guys
being authentic
cool,
and telling your story and that idea of, I think, finding your why, right? Letting some of your challenges become your superpowers. Don't be afraid to lean into some of the uncomfortable feelings, right?
Yeah.
And rather than trying to avoid them or numb them with other things. And This was great. This was great. I know Justin and I both feel like proud older brothers. We're not old enough to be your dad, but there
Pretty
is
close.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Justin's close. I'm not. I just want to make that clear. But this has been great. We were super excited to have you in, and obviously we always enjoy interacting with you and enjoy watching the success and the success not just from a business standpoint, but with Kenzie and the kids and everything else.
Thanks, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Appreciate you.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.